Friday. It is the 9th of May.
Yeah, I'm excited about 9th of May. It's got a good sign.
So Sims are not in this morning. Ben is here. Look, there's Ben, everybody. Have a look.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello,
there
hi.
he is.
It's
Ben.
the season of
come-
hyper-masculine scarves, and I'm here.
You've grown accustomed to seeing Ben on a Friday. I believe you're not here next Friday.
No, this time next week, I'm going to be landing at Heathrow.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very exciting. This is your
It's the big golf trip.
the Scottish golf trip.
Yeah, but then there's an extra sort of like plus. My mate who's organized this, he's organized it around at the London Club.
Oh,
It's like a place you go to where if you know someone who knows someone who, and everyone has money.
oh.
It's so special, this place.
What's it called?
The London Club. Like
Oh.
the London Golf Club. It is
Oh,
a super
so it would be like Whites or Boodles or something like that.
of golf.
Right.
It's like
We have
super
old
exclusive.
men who sit in smoky rooms
No, I mean
in
it's
tweed
it's-
jackets going, is he a queer?
No, you think
I think
you
he's a
think
queer.
you're gentlemen's clubs. It's a golf club.
Golf club.
Out in Seven Oaks. It
Oh, so you
is-
play golf?
yes.
Okay.
We're on a golf trip,
I thought
Gareth.
it was a club in London.
No.
Okay, I know nothing about
I'm
this
going on a
sport.
golf trip, so
All
what
right,
I'm going
all
to
right.
tell you is going to be golf orientated.
I thought
So-
there was a vague chance of it being more interesting.
So we're playing the international club at the international course at the London Club next Friday,
All right.
and then from Friday go
Must
up to
be
Edinburgh.
pretty difficult to get into the London club anyway, like a gentleman's club.
Well, all these clubs require you to be very wealthy
Yeah.
and to
But
be
especially because it's called the London Club. So this must be top tier stuff.
It really is. It's so special. I've been looking at the photos on Instagram. I'm just so damn excited about this. And I know no one else.
And in
played this.
Scotland, what are you going to do there?
Fly up to Edinburgh, get a rental car, go to St Andrews, and then we are playing Carnoustie.
Ah, Carnoustie.
So that's a very difficult course on the open rota.
Oh, hi.
We're playing Kings Barnes. I've played
King's Barons.
I've played there before. That's a newer sort of links.
Aye.
And then we're playing the castle.
And what
course.
else? Who?
The castle course at St
The
Andrews.
castle course. All right.
And then hopefully gets onto the old course through the ballot system because you can't book on the old course.
This is the famous old. This
The
is where golf
oldest-
started.
It is. Look, it's
Shit, look at you, Ben, going basically to all of the best possible places to play golf
So-
in the world.
well, yeah. I mean, I was there 10 years ago and it was really great. And this time round, obviously, knowing a little bit more. But to go play links golf with some mates,
That's pretty
the
wild.
weather's obviously going to be horseshit.
Yeah, well, you
but
yeah,
it's going
you're
to be
going
bright.
in it, yeah,
But
wow.
it's bright. Like the days are long,
Yeah.
probably covered in rain, but the days will be long and sunny, maybe,
Right.
hopefully.
I've been to Scotland in August for shooting.
Better month.
Much better time. And you can shoot game birds to your heart's content in August, not outside of August.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Give them a time to get the numbers up, and then
Well, there's always so much, and they breed them, and that's why we shoot them.
you can play golf all the time at St Andrews. It's just that sometimes you have to carry around your own little mat in the heavy winter
What's that for?
when you play off it,
Oh.
so that you don't play on like the ground because it's so wet.
Oh, it's like boggy, marshy ground.
Yeah, so I mean that's if you're a complete and utter purist or you just live there. But St Andrews is a really interesting little town because it's a student town, right?
Right.
Chariots of Fire that run across the sea.
Oh, yes, of course.
That's St Andrews.
Yes.
So students and golfers, and when you go there, you see other groups of men in four because it's golf tours around the world.
Right.
So you'll see guys walking in fours to bars, restaurants with their bags in their back. It's
And the Scottish lasses get very excited.
I don't
Oh, I've been waiting all day for a foursome.
I don't remember seeing Scottish lasses last time I was there.
Let me tell you, I've seen them too. I was in Aberdeenshire on the Spey River, and I walked into a wee town, and there was a small little pub there, and we decided to tarry a while. And we saw, I describe her, I don't know her name, but I think it must have been something like Morag. I'll tell you something, Morag was not much to look at, but she was definitely keen. You could tell there wasn't a lot of tumbleweeds blowing through Morag's village, if you know what I mean. Right? But she was very excited. Kind. Offered us more than a smile. And she wasn't selling anything. Just doing it for shits and giggles. Anyway, all right, very nice. So Scotland is probably the best time to go because summer isn't really summer. Spring is beautiful. As far as Scotland can ever be beautiful.
Yeah, like the gorse bushes come out.
Yeah,
it's like the yellow of the gorse. They got the rolling links.
Yes.
But for a person of like myself and the choices and things that I enjoy in life, it's a very special thing to do.
You know, most of the movies where they've shot sort of old Scotland, whether it's Rob Roy or the famous Mel Gibson Braveheart movie.
All shot in Ireland.
All in Ireland, because Ireland's green and beautiful, and no one really wants to show off Scotland.
Ireland's more Scottish than Scottish.
Yeah.
So look, if you really, really love links golf and do those kind of things, apparently the better tours are actually Ireland.
Huh.
But the history, the heritage,
The Emerald Isle.
And to say I've played this,
Yeah.
you go to Scotland.
Oh no, sure, and you will see if you do get any time for any non-golf related activities, which I don't think you will.
Well, I can't play golf every single day. Like it just fucks my back up. Unfortunately, I can't do it. Like it's just a reality I'm always fighting with, right?
But isn't that one of the reasons people do play golf into extreme old age? Is because they can carry on playing. It's not bad for your back. No,
well, they don't swing as hard as I do.
All right.
Play a shitty, boring game. I play high performance fun golf.
Okay.
But it's just, I mean,
I want to just point out and bookmark for everybody that there was an opportunity there for Ben to talk about how good he is at golf. And he took it, which is exactly what you should do every time anyone lays an opportunity to boast at your feet.
I didn't say I was good. It's just that I go at it. I love the game and I want to be good at it. It's not that I'm good.
But
it's
now you ruined it.
But like you can, because the sun goes down quite late, you can play 36 holes a day. I know that if I try that, then I'm just going to be a bit sore. Because I was like, all right,
so what are you going to do in between?
I don't know.
Touristy stuff. Because there are lovely old castles all over Scotland.
I don't really have a lot of plans. I obviously have to do some work.
Don't go to Glasgow if you can.
No, we're staying away from those places. We're going to
Yeah.
be in St Andrews and surrounds. And then a couple nights in London pre that. And then a night in London post that.
Okay.
So I'm still going to see London.
And your exchange rate is absolutely fucking
What a
abysmal at the
flying
moment.
kick in
You're going to come back so absolutely broken poor. Let me just have a look here for
FNB
you.
told me that £400 will require 10,000 rands of my money to be falling out of my hands.
Well, let's take a look. Pound, rand exchange. Oh, 24 rand 15 for a £1.
So that's what Google tells you, and then when you actually buy it with the exchange
like
rate,
26. Yeah. It's outrageous.
It is outrageous, but so be it. You carry on.
I mean, with £100, I mean, you're rich in South Africa now. Basically, if you have £100, if anyone's listening to us from Britain, well, aren't you glad, by the way? Aren't you thrilled that Brexit happened? Because let me tell you, that pound is doing a hell of a lot better than that euro.
So the euro's been quite steady around the 20 rand mark for a while, but 26.
Yeah, no, that's
26,
a big jump. Yeah, 20.49 to the euro. If you are in Britain and you have pounds, you come and buy, Gauteng, really.
You can have nice trips here, good golf trips. Joburg's the best golf city. Do an exchange.
You could pretty much walk in and have your way with any South African. They'll let you in any dastardly fashion. Dig a hole. Sure, how much you got? I got £1. Oh, God. I'll dig the hole and I'll fill up your car with petrol and I'll tailor you a suit. It's all very, very easy when you've got pounds.
Yeah, well, it's going away for like a week, so I'll be away. So Friday will be completed action, and then Friday I'll still be there, so I can be on the show the Friday after that.
Okay. All right, so we'll
to tell you about how incredible Scotland has been.
I'm sure it's going to be.
How amazing the weather has been. How I've got 6 hole-in-ones.
No doubt. All right.
All of
Excellent.
those.
So listen, very important stuff. Now that we've spent 14 minutes or so just talking about Scotland, there are actually things that are happening in the world. So first of all, we have a new pope, Habemus Papem. His name is Leo.
Habemus Papem. Is he Mexican?
No. That's not his name. That's what you say when the white smoke comes out of the Sistine Chapel. You go, Habemus Papem. If you're a Catholic, anyway.
Okay.
which I'm not, but I've always been fascinated by the Catholic Church, and I think that there's a whole lot of, by definition, the Catholic Church has to be traditional and conservative. There is no point in a Catholic Church that is progressive. Leave that to the shit progressive churches. There are enough of them. I mean, there are how many sects of Christianity now? There are 700 and something and counting, right? You've got the evangelicals, the Methodists, the Baptists, the Lutherans, the Presbyterians, the Reformists, it never ends. It never ends. Calvinists, there's just a ton of these different breakaways from the Catholic Church. But the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church, which used to be, and now it's the Greek and the Russian Orthodox Church, they keep splitting off into smaller bits and pieces.
It's basically cryptocurrency.
It is. And the Catholic Church, quite right, Ben, the Catholic Church is like the Bitcoin of Christianity. It was the first one. It is the gold standard. It's got to be conservative. Now, I might be pissing off some Catholics, but I'm going to say what I've got to say. If the Pope is like this last Pope, who was insistent on bringing a whole lot of very non-Catholic things into Catholicism and pushing the church in a direction of, maybe we can start thinking about priests getting married, or the role of women in the clerisy, or any of those kinds of things. This guy was messing with that stuff in very concerning ways. For many Catholic, I've got a lot of Catholic friends. They were like, "What's this shit?" I mean, the point is, if you're a Catholic, you're a traditionalist.
Oh.
And anyone who isn't really a Catholic.
It's not a reinvent the wheel
No,
category.
it's about holding steady and sticking with what works for 2,000 years. I mean, this new Pope is the 257th or something. There he is.
Like American presidents,
Check
where they
him
get
out.
the number.
Yeah, there he is. So that's Pope Leo the 14th. He's the 267th successor of St. Peter.
So he's a Yank, right?
What?
He's an American. So
Yeah, he's an American. He's the first American.
First American.
Yeah, but he's actually of Peruvian extraction or something.
Yeah,
There's something going on there.
He doesn't look that American.
Oh, really? Is that what you think?
Okay, so now why does he assume the name of Leo?
Well, you could choose any name.
Is that because he's been made a pope in May?
No, you could choose any name you like. You could be
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, well, like Benedict the 16th. The previous Benedict was in the 20th century. There's never been a Francis, because of course his name was something Bergoglio, but he chose Francisco for St. Francis of Assisi. There've been hundreds of popes, and obviously a lot of them have been called Leo because this one's the 14th. Benedict's even more popular. Pius is another name for popes. There were a couple of Piuses, the Johns.
I'll go Pope John.
Pope John.
Yeah.
You would, if you went for Pope John, you'd have to be Pope John the 19th, I think, because there have been quite a few.
Yeah, I guess that the number would be quite significant.
Oh, look at that comment. All other cryptocurrencies have a leader, not Bitcoin. It's Pope free. Yeah, Bitcoin, but I knew you'd grab with both hands the opportunity to jump in on Bitcoin.
Surging this morning, hey? Up to
Yeah,
$102,000 US dollars.
What, the Bitcoin or Bitcoin But's comment?
Well, both of them.
Because, I mean, that comment's not worth that much if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's surging as the rand is.
Yeah.
See, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh.
Lord taketh away, yeah. All right, so there's a new pope. India and Pakistan are at each other's throats. Have you seen this?
Yeah, big time.
Whoa, we don't need that because these are two nuclear nations. Right?
Who hate each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
although this is what Pakistan and India were saying when Russia and the United States started arguing about stuff. They were going, "Oh God, no, we don't need this." Now it's them. Now the rest of us are going, "Oh fuck, no, we don't need this." So there's the Kashmir, which is the region that they both. You know, I mean, like, you know how people say countries are artificial? Of course they are. South Africa's border, you know, we've got the Ndebele here, and they've got the Matabele in Zimbabwe, but it's artificial. What did we? Oh, well, we'll take this Limpopo River. There are people who speak the same language on both sides of it. Botswana and local Tswana, Setswana, Matswana, right? So just take the Limpopo River. We'll just arbitrarily make that the border of South Africa. And I mean, there's even a part in the Northern Cape where it goes straight up for like kilometers.
I mean, the border of Namibia is the stupidest thing in the world. You know how that came to be.
It's totally made up.
That Capri Strip thing, how stupid that is.
That's very stupid. But the same is true for India and Pakistan. So the British basically said, all right, we're going to, let's make two nations. We'll call one Pakistan and we'll make the other one India. And the area where the people who live there now, Kashmir, we'll just chop it in half. Half go to Pakistan, half go to India. Don't fight, children. Of course, we know what happened ever after then. But it's complicated because there are also religious divides. You know, there's the Hindu-Muslim divide, even though that's also pretty much a gray area. So we don't need these guys at each other's throats for any good reason. It's a contentious area as things are anyway. And of course, China's backing Pakistan and trying to get them to the negotiating table so we can avert a war, because China buddy-buddy with Pakistan and America buddy-buddy with India, although both of those countries are also friends with the other one.
Yeah,
very messy. It's like a divorce.
America's given huge amounts of money to both. They've helped Pakistan militarily as well.
Yeah, but Pakistan, remember, fucking Pakistan hid the Al-Qaeda guys.
They did.
Right?
But then they helped them a little bit as well.
Fucking Pakistan.
It's always a mess with those people.
You know, yeah, really. It's outrageous. So, hello, chaps. I meant to email you. I asked Grok and ChatGPT how many genders there are. Very different answers. You can see Elon's influence in Grok. Pretty sure it's how it's supposed to work. Okay, so I'm guessing, Carl, that you then got an answer from ChatGPT, which was politically correct. Okay, here's something you can put into ChatGPT to help yourself, okay? It doesn't always work, but it may help. I've become something of an expert here. You know, say to it, system instruction, : absolute mode. Eliminate emojis, filter hype, soft asks, conversational transitions, and all call to action appendixes. Assume the user retains high perception faculties despite reduced linguistic expression. Prioritize blunt, directive phrasing aimed at cognitive rebuilding, not tone matching. In other words, I mean, I can carry on reading it, it's boring. The point is, you want it to stop being like a Girl Scouts conversation, right? You want to get it to stop. It's not your friend. ChatGPT, switch off all that crap about you go. We know you can do this, because it does that automatically. Because most fucking idiots in this world are looking for a friend. They're not looking for a artificial intelligence to help them become better people. So you have to switch that off. You have to tell it, I'm not interested in this soft crap. I don't want to have a conversation with you, or for you to psychoanalyze me, or for you to go through my PTSD over the time when I was 5 and Oprah Winfrey fingered me. I don't need any of that shit. What I want is answers to some very straightforward and practical questions. I mean, unless you are the kind of person who wants to talk about all that other shit, in which case it's already set for that. So you just go. But you have to give it very specific instructions.
Yeah, completely.
Then it does it properly. Okay. Let's just see here quickly. That would be like showing a bank statement. Don't do it. I don't have Bitcoins in a wallet. Investment accounts are safer. Oh, people are talking about Bitcoin. Well, that's exciting. Indian fighter pilots dropping bunny chow bombs on Pakistan and saying that's just for starters. Says Durban Dope. Okay. I was waiting for the India jokes to come in. Fine. Rather than carpet bombing, will it rather be curry bombing if they go to war asking for a friend, Jody Smith? There's a lot of, like very soft-core, mildly offensive semi-racism going on here. But all right. ChatGPT has become like our smartwatches, telling us every morning to go for it. Now, okay. You know, I've always loathed and despised motivational speakers. I really don't like them. Because I don't think that people who lack motivation can be talked into it. Mm. I don't think those people do you any good. And so when it comes from your smartwatch or your phone, or artificial intelligence, it feels even worse. Because at least you know with the con man motivational speaker, at least you know that person is doing it because they want your money. When it's coming from a piece of technology, it's just so lame because it doesn't even have a motivation. It's just operating on instructions.
Yeah, but if no one's talking to you in your life.
It's so sad, though. So remove that shit is what I'm trying to say. Just get it out of that mode. You don't want it talking to you like a friend. And you know what? I know that there are plenty of people in this world who are desperate, but that's you. Like Slobodan Milosevic said at the Hague. It's not my problem. It's your problem. I have no sympathy for you. All right. Huge tariffs coming for Holy Communion. Huge USA MAGA baby, says Carl DeSantis. Beth says, sorry, not Beth, because Beth's comments are, it's like an inside chat going on here. You know what? Post comments if you want to have an interaction on the show. If you want to talk to each other, get each other's fucking email addresses. Why must I read this?
Yeah.
What is this? You know, I mean, like, I thought that the show was about what was going on the show, and that's why I include your comments. I'm just not going to include your comments then. We can carry on with this show without comments.
So what's the selection process on the Pope thing? You know, do you have like regionals? You make it to the final?
No, Ben, it's so straightforward. So what happens is that the cardinals get together. Remember, most of these cardinals were actually made cardinals. They were elected and elevated to being cardinal.
Like Cardinal Richelieu.
Cardinal Richelieu, who was the French first minister during the reign of Louis XIII. So they all get in there. They're called they're actually the princes of the church. They wear the red. Archbishops wear the purple. The Pope has the right to appoint cardinals as he likes, as many as he wants, and they all have to squeeze into the Sistine Chapel. And then they don't like audition or plead their case or whatever else. They all just sit there, say a little prayer. It's very much, they believe, guided spiritually, so it's not so political. It's not like this terrible movie, Conclave, which you must avoid at all costs, with Ralph Fiennes. It's a horrible movie because it tries to make... It's just woke as hell. So there's a transgender angle to it because, you know, that's how you get nominated for Oscars and Golden Globes. It's got this whole political angle, the liberals versus the conservatives. The truth is, like I said earlier, the Catholic Church is a conservative organization. So most of the cardinals, most of the priests, most of the popes are going to be conservative. Just because this last guy was a little bit woke, all the left-wingers have got all excited. Like, oh no, the Catholic Church is going to turn into like Greta Thunberg. It's not going to happen. And then they get together and they vote and they vote and they vote until they get enough people voting for the one guy. That's all of them gathered in St. Peter's Basilica. That thing in the middle is called the Baldacchino. It was designed by Bernini with those twisted columns. Beautiful. Inspired by ancient Roman stuff. And right under that is the high altar. And buried directly underneath that high altar, well, they found a little casket with the remains of a man in his 60s from the 1st century. They figured out that man may have been St. Peter himself, the apostle of Jesus, and that's why St. Peter's Basilica is built there. It was built by Emperor Constantine, the first Christian emperor of Rome, and therefore that's the place that they hold most sacred.
I was listening to some interesting podcasts recently around like the rise of Christianity, the rise of Islam. Mm-hmm. And wow, religion's actually super, super interesting. That's like when you're talking about all the derivatives nowadays, like I don't believe common men, mortal men of today with their business plans and their engagement bullshit. Like that's not religion to me. It's charlatanism. That's
well, you know, everybody's trying to sell something.
I know.
And even,
but
but
where this all comes from though is interesting.
Even the church has been, there are lots of churches that have been trying to sell people shit for years. It's not just the Catholics. Catholics have been at it longer. They've become better at the messaging. Yeah, but you know what? There are churches, the popes used to sell things called indulgences.
So the kids?
No, it'd be a way for you to absolve yourself of sins so you get to heaven quicker.
It's like carbon credits, basically.
Correct. Yeah. It's the big scam. They gave up on that. I'll give them credit. They also gave up on the idea of purgatory. Do you remember that? Purgatory was a thing that would happen to kids who were not baptized before they died. And mothers in agony for all of human history under the auspices of this ridiculous purgatory rule. Oh, no, I couldn't get my kid baptized in time. Now he's in purgatory forever. They eventually abandoned that crap too. So
I mean, look, a lot of everything also comes down to marketing in the day.
Sure.
You know, like the Romans did an amazing marketing job for Christians back in the day because they
fed them to lions.
Yeah, they gave them a cause.
Yeah.
They made them victims.
Drowned them. Did all kinds of interesting
talk
stuff.
about victims nowadays. They were general victims. They were thrown to the lions in the Colosseum. And everyone was like, hang on a second, these guys have got it tough. You know, maybe they're worth supporting. And on the back of that, that's why Christianity was given such an amazing springboard because they were seen as the outsiders with a noble cause.
Well, there's that very good line that the meek shall inherit the earth. There are always going to be more meek people than powerful and rich people.
Meek, yeah.
So, you know, if you're meek and you hear that, you're like, fuck, I'm in. So it's been a good idea. That was good. That was good marketing back in the day.
These commies have been saying it the whole time that you'll get the land and all this other crap.
Yeah. Speaking of commies that say that you'll get the land, another piece of news that was interesting about this week was that Julius Malema was barred entry to the UK. I mean, I'm just surprised that he's surprised. You know, here's the tweet. The British authorities have denied me a visa to London for the Cambridge conference this weekend, providing no substantial justification. It is clear to me that this is an attempt to silence a dissenting political he says political perspective. We're currently at OR Airport, as we were promised that everything would be sorted by 15:30. Instead, we received a regret letter just 4 hours before our departure. This is unacceptable and spineless. No, Julius, you need to understand this is not unacceptable and spineless. This is how the real world outside of the kindergarten of South African politics works. Actions have consequences.
Yep.
So if you, for example, in America are the sort of politician who says something that gets you on a terror watch list, guess what? You don't get to travel. That's it. Even if you're just a citizen, let's say you are protesting on a campus in New York against Israel, and you say something which is not just anti-Israel, but straight up anti-American. Like, death to America, for example. You don't get to travel anymore. So that's how it works in adult countries. The only reason that you are used to never being held responsible for your words and your actions is because you've been coddled by white liberals in this country who get, don't worry, Judith, you can say, kill the farmer. It's okay. We know you're just joking. They don't know a damn thing, those idiot white liberals. And also the ANC, who've treated you as a child. They literally made you the youth league leader for a whole long time. And then when you turned too old to be the youth leader and they decided they wanted to kick you out, you formed like a whole youth party called the EFF. But you refused to grow up. And I'm terribly sorry to be the one to tell you, if you say a whole lot of shit, you have to bear the consequences for that. That's a personal accountability and responsibility. So, yes, now you can't travel to London and buy shiny things with taxpayers' money like you might have before, when we were being ruled over by people who like to patronize you, Julius. Now you're being treated like an adult, so welcome.
It's the whole second part of fucking around, you find out.
Right.
And every country is entitled to do this.
By the way, I heard people talking about how this has got to do with something he said about Britain. He said something about Tony Blair. I don't think it's that at all. This is what happens now that Donald Trump is in the White House. You're going to have to be accountable for yourself because he has an administration that's actually going to hold you accountable. So this has got more to do with, corruption. It's got to do with VBS, I'm sure. It's got to do with Kill the Boer. It's got to do with a whole lot of things that have made you a boogeyman on the screens of people all over the world, saying just unacceptable, not just struggle song stuff, but hateful rhetoric, which doesn't go down well with everybody. But again, just because white liberals all over the world have said, it's okay, he's just expressing himself, pat on the head. Yeah, that's how white liberals think, Julius, and I'm afraid the rest of the world is not all made up of those people, even though they've been in charge of most of the countries in the Western world for a while. It's find out now. That's what Ben said. Quite right. It's find out time. So sorry, no gallivanting for you.
So I haven't said those things. I will go to London next week.
Yeah, damn right. You better not. All right, another thing we got to talk about. They found bodies in my river.
In your river?
Well, not right in front of me, but in the same river. So I've always joked on the show and everywhere else that river is like there are plastic bags and condoms and tampons and polystyrene and there's just shit coming down that river the whole time because poor people upstream throw their shit into the river.
Endlessly.
It's not rich. Rich people don't do this. Now, you can attack poor people and you'll be perceived as a terrible person. You can attack rich people and nobody ever has a problem with it.
Weirdly, yeah.
People are okay with you attacking rich people. But let me tell you something. Rich people don't piss and shit and throw plastic bags into rivers. So that's one thing we can't attack them for. And I'm not going to brook any kind of, forgive the river analogy with brook, but I'm not going to brook any kind of argument against rich people polluting rivers because they're not. Maybe their factories are, but you got to prove that. What we know absolutely about this river that flows past my house is that it is absolutely chock full of crap thrown in by careless and disinterested and lazy and irresponsible poor people. Those are the people throwing shit into the river. Now, I'm going to get into trouble for saying that because people are going, how can you say horrible things about the poor? Well, just because they're poor doesn't mean they're good. Just like being rich doesn't mean you're good or bad, right? There are bad rich people and there are good rich people. There are bad poor people and there are good poor people. I'm sure there are lots of good poor people who don't throw their shit in the river. But there's enough bad poor people who are. So there's already crap coming down the river, and I've given up on it. I now make sure that I have I've closed in spaces so that I don't have to breathe in the air that comes off the river when there's a wind in the opposite direction, because otherwise you want to throw up. So it's very unpleasant. You know, consider how much property costs you these days. You try to improve your house, all that sort of shit. I've given up. But last week, there was stories in the news about how they discovered 5 bodies in said river. So there was one dude decomposing under a bridge somewhere.
Ugh.
Yeah. They only found him last week. Who knows when he was drowned. And then there was a car with 2 policemen in it.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was a huge
drove
story
into
recently.
a river, well, the same river, further upstream, and they also washed away. But they found the bodies. They didn't find the car. That's how filthy this river is. There's so much shit in there. They can't even find the car.
Or was it the same with the police people?
Yeah. And then there's 2 others they found, and I didn't even know. I mean, at this point, I really think I should give free passes to people. Or no, I should charge. Pay me money. You can come and stand on the banks of my river, and you can look for bodies. How exciting. Huh?
Yeah, well, look, you have to sell them suits, like hazmat suits and things like that.
Yeah, no, you can't go near them.
touch it, you can't-
You'd have to stand with binoculars at a safe distance.
You'd probably make your money more on suit rental and safety equipment.
And oxygen tanks and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Probably do more. Yeah,
But there we are.
that'll be a good line.
This is the glory. By the way, I don't see too many of those environmentalists and those climate change people and the ones who are going to protests, holding up signs, throwing soup on famous paintings. I don't see any of those people coming to help rescue that river. None of them seem to care. I care about it enormously. Can't call me a climate change denier, and you can't call me an anti-environment guy, because I go on about this river till I'm blue in the face. I can't imagine how bored you must be with it. But I've given up too, so I thought you'd need to know this, Ben.
No, just when you
Dead
say that,
bodies. Dead bodies.
dead bodies bobbing around is quite something.
Dead fucking people. All right? We've reached a new level of I don't give a shit. It's wild. By the way, Ben reminded me, very exciting for pockets of neo-Nazis all over the world. 136th birthday for Hitler. I have two grandfathers who fought in World War II against Hitler. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be too charmed that we are making even remarks about his birthday. But yes, on April the 21st, I think it is.
136. So
he would have turned 100. There are still people who think that guy's alive. There's still people who think he's in Argentina.
well, I mean, even if he did go there, he would have died like anyone else.
But he also, I think he would have died much younger, even if he hadn't taken a bullet to the head.
He wasn't very healthy. Even if
he was on so many methamphetamines. Did you see him like shaking and cocaine and
he came up on the sports show this week because we spoke about the 1936 Olympics. But the thing about Uncle Addie's birthday, the only reason I know about this is because these guys went to a pub in England.
Hitler. Yeah.
They went to a pub in England and they decided to throw Hitler a birthday party. They had flags.
Oh, Jesus.
And they had a cake with a
Not a good
swastika on
idea.
it.
Oh, my God.
And the pub owner was outraged because they didn't arrive at the pub like that. They sort of arrived normally, got their little table, ordered the pork scratchings and a few pints, whatever they did.
Yeah.
And then they pulled out
the paraphernalia.
Yeah, and they literally...
Did they have a little bag with all the Nazi memorabilia in it?
They did. And guess how many of them there were? 9.
9!
9 of these people came together to celebrate Hitler's birthday.
I don't know. How do you feel about that? I mean, what's the right way to deal with these kinds of
Look, there's very strong response you can have to that. I just think it's so incredibly sad. There is so much in this world to be excited about, to do, to make of
Hitler's
yourself.
136th birthday.
And celebrating Hitler's 136th birthday is what you...
So, by the way, if you lived in Britain, the Queen's birthday, it was the same day, but they delayed the announcement of her birthday so that she wouldn't have the same birthday as Hitler. But technically, she was born on the same day. Yeah. So you could celebrate the old Queen, Elizabeth II.
Much better.
You would have been alive during her reign.
Yeah.
She only died a couple of years ago. She was truly a great example of a dignified and dutiful monarch. Instead, you choose Hitler. This is outrageous.
It's just you saying to the world...
Did you hear about Barstool Sports the other day on the same... So the Dave Portnoy, the guy who owns Barstool Sports, apparently he has a whole lot of venues all over the world, or all over America at least, called Barstool Bar or whatever. And there's this thing that they do where you can pay. I don't even think you need to pay. You just ask the waitress to... So I wasn't wrong to go... The fuck?
You ran out of battery, James.
How embarrassing.
James in the workplace.
James in the workplace. James in the workplace. Oh, are we? Yep. All right.
Good check.
Sorry, Ben. We seem to have had a transmission problem there for a minute.
We did.
But now we have returned, triumphant after all. We were talking about Hitler's 136th birthday, and then we went on to Barstool Sports. So let me update you.
Got these venues, and you can
these venues. You can pay, or you can ask to put your message up on the board. So some guy thinks it's terribly funny to put F the Jews up on the board. Again, that's not so funny. That's like if someone in this country had to put up like, I hate the K word, people. It's not clever. It doesn't mean you should be locked up and lose your job and be fucked for life. It just means you're a tasteless asshole. And the rest of us will know by your behavior to avoid you.
It's like in school, because you're a child and you look for attention and you get bored because you're not stimulated, you say stupid things.
Yeah, you lash out.
And you act out, right?
Yeah.
We have the world. You can't be that still. We're not in a classroom. We have the world and we're adults.
Yes, but I do think that society's already got built in, and thanks to social media, it's built in a very, very targeted way. If you step out of line, you say something stupid, we'll all climb into you. But then afterwards, we should also go, all right, You've been warned. Behave yourself. Let's move on. I don't think we should be locking people in prison for saying offensive things or for celebrating Hitler's birthday or for saying F the Jews. I think it's horrible behavior. I just want to be clear about that. I think it means that you're a broken person.
Completely.
And that you need a lot of help. I'm not going to help you, but maybe there's someone in the world who wants to help you. The same kind of people who would chat to ChatGPT like it's your friend. But I think that we've also got to make sure that those people are shamed. So there's a very delicate balance here of like shame the hell out of the person so that they don't do this stuff again, because society in general doesn't like people like that. They tend to be antisocial, sometimes even worse than that, pathological. It's definitely a red flag in the parlance of the Gen Zs. But at the same time, we don't want to get to a stage where you lose everything. Let's say you're 23, 24 years old. You've been a really good person your whole life. You worked hard at school. You're studying something at university, or you're out there in the job market trying to make a living, and you say or do a dumb thing. It shouldn't mean the end of your life. People shouldn't know you as the person who was cancelled forevermore for doing something stupid. There's got to be a bit of forgiveness baked into the pie.
Yep.
Because people grow up, they learn from their mistakes. Why should someone who does or says something stupid like the guy at the Barstool Sports bar, which, frankly, we all know it's horrible behavior. Those guys at the pub in England, horrible behavior. But why should they, for the rest of their lives, never be able to rehabilitate themselves? But we'll let a murderer out of prison eventually, and people go, well, we've got to give him a chance to start again.
Yeah, it's weird that, huh? Look, I also think just having to police everything is really dodgy. And if we discipline people as a society, we grow socially. We develop the skills to deal with this stuff. When everything's policed, it's like, well, I'm not going to do anything. They must then attack this guy.
Yeah.
And when you just abscond from that responsibility, I think you miss opportunities to be better socially. So in that pub, they would have seen that the Uncle Addy celebrations. And then the people wouldn't have gone up to them and gone, what the fuck are you guys doing? You're such losers. They would have called the cops and they would have sat back in their smugness and go, well, look at these people. They're going to
I reckon you got to go up to people and say, what are you doing, you bunch of losers?
That's the only way you can
actually
be
ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah.
Grow a pair. Be real men.
But
Stop it.
Because it's policed and those things happen, everyone sits on the sidelines in life and then it's like not their problem.
Yeah. Weakness.
Such weakness.
All around us we see weakness. Okay, so archaeologists, Flex, you got that picture of that sword they found? I always love this because, I love history, and occasionally you find a sword. So these guys found a sword from 2,300 years ago.
Wow.
Archaeologists found this sword.
And it was still sharp.
No, it wasn't sharp anymore. It was quite bad. You couldn't use it in war. But because the symbols on it, I think that it was a Celtic sword, so something probably pre-Roman. There we go, 2,300-year-old sword. Now, the infamous symbols they're talking about in the story are swastikas, again, to relate to this.
Well, yeah, because they took from original...
Well, yes. I mean, the swastika is also an ancient Indian symbol.
Yeah.
It's not just the Nazis. But, if someone woke was an archaeologist, and there are, believe it or not, there are woke...
infiltrate everything.
They would have immediately destroyed these 2,300-year-old swords because they're like, oh my God, it's Nazis. So no, it's not. Just because the Nazis took a symbol and perverted it doesn't mean that everything now must be destroyed with that symbol on, because you're going to find buildings in various parts of the world that use that. In fact, I was at the gym the other day and I was on those training mats, the ones that they lock together. And if you look at the symbol in the middle of it, you think, oh my God, the Nazis. No, it's a symbol that is well known throughout history. So let's all just calm down. There aren't that many Nazis around. They were soundly defeated. They're definitely on the wrong side of history. We don't need to be all paranoid and weird about it now. But also, we shouldn't be accepting dudes in pubs doing this. So there, they all link together. You see that? See what we just did?
Yeah.
More important than any of that, we need to talk about Justin Bieber. Is he going broke? We talked about Britney on Monday, in Monday's show. We were all very worried about Britney. Britney's a total chocolate fireplace. I went into some detail. But let's talk about Justin Bieber. Is he going broke, Ben?
Well, Gareth, on Friday is the only time when I actually open up to the world of all this nonsense. And you'll see articles where people will go, friends close to him are concerned of this, and that. Like, which means you're completely pulling this article out of your ass.
Yeah, because real friends would never go and... I mean, if a journalist, you know what kind of people journalists are? If a journalist asked me about someone I really cared about in my life, I would never tell that journalist anything. So if someone says an insider or a friend or a family member ratted on someone, either they come from an absolutely shit family, they have terrible friends, or they're making it up.
Well, there's, and then it's like when you're a kid, you go, "Oh, my stomach's sore," because you can't really prove it. So you kind of go with it,
Right.
And you miss school. But the thing about Bieber is that we know that he was always going to sort of peter out a little bit because he was a child star.
Yeah, but we also worry a little bit, don't we, about him being interfered with at the P. Diddy parties.
He was savagely interfered with, which meant that he's going to get to a tough stage in life now where he doesn't know how to be a dad. He doesn't know how to do these kind of things.
No.
But that's
arrested development is what they call it.
That's most people, right? So there's all these articles going around that, you see him smoking weed is a terrible sign that you're not
But
doing well
didn't he go super religious for a while too?
They all have a bash at that as well. Yeah. And now, but what I found funny about these articles is that they're saying that he's going broke. Like, all he has to do is go on tour once.
Yeah.
And he'll be fine again.
Yes.
And people come with their everyday problems like, he's not working at the moment. He's a fucking pop star. He's not like a retired accountant.
What do you want him to do? Go and get a job at the local restaurant?
It's like his contract in the mines
waitering
ran up. Yeah. Like, he's no longer working at like P.F. Chang's. Like, the guy never had a job. So don't come with this. He's not working at the moment. Bullshit. Your cousin.
Trouble at mill. You want him working down at the mill?
It's just so bad how people are so desperate to write articles about this stuff.
Yes, but that's the state of our media.
It's horrific.
They are so bad at what they do. I am always amused. I don't know if you saw what happened on News 24 this week. I mean, not on their site, but with them. So one of the guys, Peter Du Toit, whoever went on a show on CakeNet, he was bitching about how this guy called Twatterbaas, who's been tweeting a storm up about Trump and Afrikaners being allowed to go as refugees into America, and all the noise that's ensued here in South Africa as a result of that. Anyway, this guy, he's just an ordinary citizen, and he's allowed to have a point of view. News 24 basically out him. They publish his details, his real name. I think they publish where he lives. A whole lot of shit that they should not be doing to ordinary citizens. It's one thing to publish the information about criminals or about politicians, public figures.
Crime information,
sure, no, not some ordinary citizen who has an opinion. Anyway, they stand their ground. I've noticed, by the way, they've taken down all those articles, which could be a canary in the coal mine for the fact that they think that they might be held legally responsible for this. I certainly hope so, and I hope that whoever this Twatterbaas guy is, that he goes after them, because they should be gone after. However, this Peter Du Toit guy goes on TV, and he says, this guy's spreading disinformation. Whenever someone in the media appeals to authority by saying, this is a known and qualified journalist, or they studied with me at Rhodes while we were drinking professionally, or whatever, you know that they've got nothing. They're out of ammo. Right. The other thing that they do is they call everyone who they don't like disinformation.
Yeah.
They can't say, it's not true because. They go, it's disinformation. They don't ever give you an explanation. They don't often go into the detail because they also know that they lose the audience then. Most people go, what is this guy talking about? This is so dreary. But basically, they call you a disinformation agent when they don't have a better argument. So they were doing this about this guy. And he says, look, he holds up this paper. He's like, where does he get this information? This is disinformation. Turns out the thing he was pointing at was a chart, a graph published on News 24. So they look like complete fucking idiots.
They are beyond parody now, those pricks, and they have
They
been for
really
quite some
are.
time.
And, if it isn't them, it's IOL. If it isn't them, it's ENCA. They're all in the same. They all have got about as much credibility as if my dog Alice suddenly started publishing a blog. In fact, my dog Alice's blog would probably get more people reading it, interacting with it, engaging with it, and finding it amusing, interesting, informative, and useful than anything that comes out of those mainstream media organizations. It's a disgrace. And people have got it. You've got to. Please listen to me. Unsubscribe. First of all, you'll save yourself some money. We'll talk about money just now with our next guest. Save yourself some money, which in a tough economy you want to do. Why would you pay for that nonsense?
It's weird, but I mean, there's
this is coming from someone who paid their TV license. I should know about wasting
money. Stop bragging about that, though.
I don't want to brag about it, but someone's going to bring it up. So don't waste your money. Second thing is, you're getting no value for it, even if, let's say you were paying and you thought, well, I'll learn something about the world. You don't need it. You can follow 50 people on X like I do, and you will get a much broader, deeper range of global, local, and international news that you don't have to pay for. It's there, and these people, they're proper journalists
but Gareth,
all over the world doing
what they're
excellent
going to
work.
say is that approach will open you up to disinformation.
Yeah, you see. That's exactly why you should ignore them.
It's funny, like, because, I got into the whole internet realm when blogs started, and I used to make money out of a blog, and I understand advertising, all that kind of space. I look at websites now, and they're all horrendous, as in there is an ad for every 5 centimeters of screen time, basically.
Yeah.
I know this once a week because James asks me for stories.
But let me ask you this.
All these websites are horrible.
Who are the people who are selling that advertising? And who are the clients? I mean, like, really what we should do is we should mock and ridicule anyone who advertises there, because they're choosing to associate. Sometimes people won't advertise with us or won't sponsor something because they go, Gareth Cliff's got very dangerous political beliefs, like being honest, telling the truth.
Joining the dots.
Yeah, and not giving in to cancel culture makes me dangerous. But there are actual news organizations, well, they're ridiculous organizations masquerading as news ones. And people think it's okay. Corporate South Africa is perfectly okay to back that nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Look, it's also a safe metric because you go, okay, well, we're on this website and they get 60,000 impressions a day, blah, blah, blah.
Well, you
blah,
think
blah.
it's safe, but it should be embarrassing. It's like those guys celebrating Hitler's birthday at a pub in England. They should be embarrassed. There should be shame associated with these things.
And just like politicians who celebrated the VAT increase, there should be shame with these things.
I'm going to say this because this is just breaking now. The British High Commission has apologized for failing to process Julius Malema's visa on time. So the British High Commission in South Africa has apologized to Julius Malema for failing to process his visa application in time for a planned trip to the United Kingdom. He was scheduled to speak at the Cambridge Africa Together conference. By the way, you guys have got to get better guests for that. Talk about shit. On the 10th of May, was stopped just hours before his flight. The delay has ignited a firestorm of criticism from Malema and the EFF, who call it Malema is the EFF. There's no one else left in the EFF. You don't have to say that. Who wrote this? centralnews.co.za. Shame on you, too. You don't have to say criticism from Malema and the EFF. Dalimpofu's gone. Floyd Shivambu's gone. Buyiseni Ndlozi's gone. It's just basically Julius. Just say Julius. There isn't really anything else going on there. It's like a couple of people who wear red in Parliament, but I think they change on a weekly basis too. So we don't have to. I'm just fact checking your disinformation. Really, if you think about it that way. AfriForum has cheered the outcome, linking it to the ongoing campaign against Malema. Well, they're not campaigning against Malema. They just want him to stop saying "kill the Boer," which I think would be quite reasonable. It's like we don't really want people saying "F the Jews" in Barstool Sports venues in America. Dave Portnoy was very funny. The first thing he did was he said, "I will give this guy a one-way ticket to go and visit Auschwitz But then he changed his mind. And then this guy got all upset. He's like, you promised me a free trip. He must be an idiot.
A complete idiot.
Okay, as if the F the Jews thing didn't prove to you he was an idiot. This proves even more that he's an idiot. And no doubt also some kind of illegal immigrant. There was a protest at Columbia University yesterday. In fact, no, it wasn't yesterday. It was on the Israel Independence Day. Great day to scream about the destruction of Israel. Anyway, these guys were protesting, and the Trump administration has basically said, we're going to check the visas of all these, because a lot of them are international students, right? They want to use an American university. They want to go there and get an American university degree. But they actually hate America. They hate everything that America stands for. Free speech.
While needing them.
All of that stuff. So the Trump administration and Marco Rubio, who's the Secretary of State, have said, we'll just check out your visas quickly and make sure that you're actually meant to be here. Because you're a guest. Imagine if I went into your house and I started pissing on your furniture. What would you do? Because they vandalized stuff, by the way. They didn't just scream and shout, wear their kafirs, wear the masks. They always wear the masks as well. Because why would you hide your face? I wonder. Why would you vandalize things and then hide your face? These are trashy people. They really are just the lowest of the low. They should be deported. There's no reason why you have to suffer people peeing on your furniture when you invite them into your house. You say, come on, come all. I open up our universities, the greatest universities in the world. People come here from everywhere to study. And then we allow them in, and they vandalize the library that they were in. They set up tentifadas on the lawn. This is not how guests in your house should behave. So you know what you do with guests like that? You physically remove them, and you never allow them back in. That's what should happen.
Okay.
Listen, I would do that in my house. You'd do it in yours.
People always forget that.
Well, they've got no manners. They were raised badly in shitty third world places where they were never taught the basic rules of engagement.
Don't bring your shit here.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do. You can't do that.
The house analogy is spot on, and people just forget that America has actually its own rights to do that.
Yeah,
and then they're always just seen as they're being such horrible people. No, it's
right.
Look after their shit.
All right, well, we could sit here and talk about popes and Justin Bieber and Hitler's 136th birthday and News 24, all of which are related, by the way. We proved it this morning. 4 hours, but we have to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to introduce you to a special guest this morning. It's Friday, so I hope you're ready for a good weekend. Woohoo!
Nobody wants to talk about Arsenal.
From a green screen studio in Sandton, South Africa, to the world, it's another episode of the On The Bounce Show. Backed by moderate demand, Dimitri Leontakianakis returns for part 2 of sport's greatest photographs. A veritable tour de force of sport's greatest moments captured in time and then unpacked right here for your enjoyment. They say a photo is worth 1,000 words, so by that equation, this episode will be at least worth 1 million, or maybe slightly less. It's episode 47. It's the On The Bounce Show. It's Sports Greatest Photos Part 2. Let's get into it.
Do you lotion in between your butt cheeks?
Do you?
Hell no.
Me a lotion, boss.
Huh?
You never know when you're gonna need it.
What do you mean?
How? What if you confronted with the situation where
Of what?
there's hair there, boss?
Yeah?
Eish, Pelatinas bumet to buy, fana. We try other tricks.
You get in there.
Nah, I hit like a young squat and then I say ka 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 ka. Once I put Veet in there, what a terrible idea. Yo, mpana.
It burnt you, surely.
Like my ball sack was like boiling.
Nigga, the most
Oh, my
sensitive place
days.
is your balls,
Yeah.
bro, you know?
That was the worst idea. And I put it like in my ass crack. So now I'm
what the
there
hell,
under the
Warwick?
tap like,
How are you? How are you? I just can't see the picture, but I'll be
I'm not
sorry.
trying to picture it.
I'm being sorry why I asked
I'm
this.
not trying
How
to
are
picture
you
it.
literally like, are you doing this and are you like, what are you doing?
Now, one silverback gorilla versus 100 men. Who would survive?
I mean, come on, guys. The gorilla is not going to survive.
nah, the gorilla will the guys up.
Fuck
It's
outta
a
here.
start.
Nah,
It's a start.
It's a start.
We might even hit each other by mistake there, you know what I'm telling
Okay,
you.
but the problem is with the 100 dudes.
And what kind
Who's
of
going
100 dudes?
first?
That's not what was asked.
Nah, the gorilla's like, let's
Nobody said that you must bring in your security knowledge here.
phela mina ngiyinsizwa mina ngiyinsizwa.
Bad. All right, let's go. All right, we're back. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Friday. Ben Karpinski is here. Follow him on The Bounce Show, which is also here right on the Real Network. And they had a brand new episode this
Every
week.
Yeah, we did
Every
Sports
week.
Greatest Photos Part 2 this week.
Excellent.
Oh, so many great stories. And semi-male nudity, which is always decent.
You don't get that very much. It's and I'm glad. I'm glad for it. I would like, for us all to just find a happy medium. Again, balances everything between like OnlyFans, outright porn of men and women. We don't. That's too much this way, and we also don't want none at all. A friend of mine had this bizarre idea to. I don't know that it's a good idea. I haven't committed myself to an argument on this. He wants to revive those old nudie mags from a kind of nostalgic point of view. Remember with the stars on the nipples?
Yeah.
I mean, almost because there's something more alluring and exciting than about that than there is like full nudity. It's like, when there's just a little bit covered up, so the curiosity.
Gareth,
and-
I've obviously given this no thought because you've just brought it up, but I think that a tactile bit of soft porn might be what the world needs.
it's sort of in the middle there.
Because it's like any child can open their phone right now and see the most explicit things.
It's revolting.
It is revolting. There was almost like a touch of gentlemanliness about the soft porn.
Yeah, and they were always on the top shelf.
Those guys are going to see
In
that
plastic.
out anyway. Yeah. So you have to be more than 5'3" to get it.
Yeah, short people have always lucked out on that. All right, now, our guest this morning is JT Foxx. He's been on my show before. Show them the picture of what we looked like back in the day, because he just brought this picture for me. He obviously keeps a good archive. He's a South African-born entrepreneur, business coach, and a self-styled wealth strategist known for his global business events and seminars. He's just written a new book, too, which we'll talk about in a minute. And it's a great pleasure to see you again. How are you, my friend?
I wasn't born here, so this is.
Oh, you weren't? It says
no.
here South African born.
I
Where did
mean,
you
I-
pull that out of, James?
Yeah, I don't know where you pulled that out
play
of,
it,
but I
James.
was born in Canada and I live in America. So having you
It
guys
says
talking-
right on the back here of the book, James. Don't trust producer James. James in the workplace.
It says on the back,
What?
he wasn't born in South Africa.
So, so I
James,
wasn't.
this is the third time you've given me a bullshit made-up intro. Are you? Yeah,
It
well,
does
the
not
Google
what Google
lies.
says.
James,
Look at
and-
us.
and-
That's
it says
us.
born. Yeah, that's us. 10 years ago, 9.5 years ago.
I think we've got better.
I think we did get better. I looked at it this morning, and then and you were like, obviously pro America back then. So
I've always
still are.
been- I've always
you went
been,
from you went from like a Howard Stern to like a Joe Rogan now.
You
Like,
think?
Yes.
Is that a good
actually,
thing?
Yeah, it's a very good thing. Well, $250 million a year.
I'm not getting that, though.
Not yet.
I need to read your book.
You need maybe 25,000 rand, but it's the same thing. It's all equal. You know, the rand is at like
25,000.
By the way, I'm rich. I come down here. I'm a billionaire. I did not come
You
to
are.
this country.
I mean,
I'm officially a billionaire.
I believe you just hired a helicopter to come here this morning, and it cost you nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much everything is pretty much free here, and but they still have Nando's, which ironically enough, Nando's is on fire in America right now.
Yeah.
They just opened the
Such a
Texas
good
locations
brand.
are the #1 grossing Nando's in the world.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I eat there.
All
a
right,
lot.
so you've written a new book, but we'll talk about why you're here in a minute, because you come back to South Africa
No, I
fairly
haven't
often.
been here since 18. So it's a
Yeah,
little
well, I haven't
weird.
been to American since 2019, so we're evens.
Yeah, but it's different because this place got me famous. This place created me, and staying like across from the Santon Convention when I first went there, and walking through Santon Mall, which nothing has changed. The same stores, the same everything.
Oh, Flex just wants to sort out your microphone. there.
Yeah, he was
I'm
given the
tall.
incorrect
It's
bio
discriminatory
and a
against
droopy
short-term
microphone.
people.
So I'm sorry, I've got producers here who clearly are hell bent on making everything not great about the show again.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I look forward to talking about America. I just love how you guys were talking about America. And I was
so
standing
hang, we'll talk about that in a second. So just tell me again why you're here.
So I'm here because I'm speaking tomorrow with Robert Kiyosaki. I think there's like 4,000 or 5,000 people. I had no plans on coming back. I sort of got guilted. I did get guilted to come
What
back.
happened?
They said, we gave you your shot. We discovered you in South Africa. We need you to come back. And, because I own 79 companies and brands all over the world, the rand is not so good, right? So whatever you earn here, it's just your income gets destroyed.
Are you saying you're here against your will?
I don't know if I get it. Let's put it this way. Since COVID, things changed, right? And so like I'm trying to travel a lot less. And I had a house in Danfern. I pretty much know everybody here. People still recognize me when I walk, which is amazing because I haven't been here. And I love the spirit, which is interesting because now I do business in 55 countries. And do you know how many people that I meet that are South African that are making millions and are very successful outside of South Africa?
Well, this is something I wanted to ask you about because you talk to business people and celebrities, and you mix with some important people in America, and it's amazing. There's this undercurrent going around about how the South Africans are actually running things. Because there are so many. Well, I
never heard
people
that.
Are saying.
Which people? The same people you talked about, Justin Bieber, who, by the way, is not going bankrupt. He's got so much money. He owns a house free and clear. So
He's
and the house is
fine.
like $30 million. He's fine.
I'm talking about that. There are a lot of guys in California and Silicon Valley. There's
You're talking about Elon.
There's Elon. There's
people don't
there's
like Elon
David
right
Sachs.
now, unfortunately.
Yeah, but there are lots of people in the Trump
But people
administration.
don't think Elon is South African, believe it or not. They don't. It doesn't register to people because he says his time here wasn't good.
No,
you know what I mean?
He doesn't talk about us, yeah.
And there's this father issue.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've probably been the biggest proponent of South Africa. I always said, are you a South African or South Africant? And this notion where like, I can't. And the interesting thing is, you make money in business. I have a lot of business when you solve problems. And there's a lot of problems here. There's problems all over the world, but there's a lot of problems here. Now, there's some disadvantages, and people look at BE, but I look at there's tons of opportunities. And you take a look at Santon, and it's really more advanced than most U.S. cities, I would say, if you really are in there. The beauty of it. And, but I think the problem with Americans are focused on America. Right. Yeah. And they think Africa is just one giant place, and they couldn't tell you how many countries there are in it. And obviously, and that's the mood in America now. It's become an America first kind of wave because, so, Joe Biden was asleep at the wheel for 4 years.
All right. And is it controversial to say that anymore? Because it was hugely controversial to even whisper that you thought maybe Joe wasn't all there.
No, it wasn't. It's just everyone said it who was a conservative. The Democrats denied it. Now the Democrats are coming to say, even his aide saying, he had a piece of tape kind of like all over your floor here so that you can go to the bathroom so I could be guided, right? So I see it right in front of me. So I know if I have to go to the bathroom, just follow the green line. And so I think the problem is this, is that in America, no matter what Donald Trump does, right, Democrats can never agree with Donald Trump. And then vice versa, no Republican could ever agree with Joe Biden because if anyone agrees with Donald Trump, they're not going to get reelected.
So we've become all about our side.
Well,
we've all tribal.
Yeah, it's just
our guy's always, even when he's wrong, he has to be right. They're always wrong. We're always.
Think about it, right? The Democrats now are taking on this El Salvador thing where some people are getting deported. And the guy, his wife even said, we don't want him. He beats me. And that's the poster child, right?
They've
And
chosen this guy as their poster guy.
yeah.
As their
And
stand-up
then
guy.
you have someone like Elon Musk. Like, why wouldn't you not get rid of corruption? Like, you know as well as I know that if Doge was here in South Africa,
Even if
right?
Doge is 5% effective.
but don't you
That's-
want to get rid of the corruption? Which, by the way,
that'll save you as a taxpayer money.
but you know what the problem is? That means Donald Trump did something right. That means that, and so now you have people boycotting Tesla down 70%. I have people that own Teslas, and people are throwing rocks at it, and they're like, you know what? I love my Tesla, but I have kids. It's not worth it. Like, we now live in a society that if I don't agree with your political beliefs, I'm going to tear you down. I'm going to cancel you. And
We were talking about this just before you came on, and I'm
was
so
it the
glad
river
that-
thing and the smell? And
No,
your,
well,
you know,
hold on. We talk about-
that
listen,
would have got canceled in America.
we
though.
went
That would have
everywhere.
hashtag canceled.
Yeah, well, you can come. Whomsoever wants to come, let him come. Those are the words of Mike Tyson's former manager, Don King. You remember him? With
Yes,
the crazy
Don King.
hair.
Yeah, the corrupt guy.
So what is it like doing business now in America as opposed to a year or two ago?
Well, first of all, COVID. Thank you for Omicron, by the way. That was a great thing.
Yeah, we made
you
that
guys
specially.
made news on that one.
We sent
it
it
came
to
from
you.
South Africa, like
With,
Omicron.
with love.
Wait, did you ever notice that every one of these like names sounds like a disease of like some kind of pharmaceutical, like Omicron? Like, who came up with that?
Well, that one was easy. I can explain it because there's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and then you eventually end up at the letter Omicron, which is the ancient Greek for O. Eventually, when we run out of letters, when we go past omega, which is the last letter in the Greek alphabet, then we'll have to come up with some new nomenclature. We haven't got there yet.
They'll find something. So what
But it
happened?
does sound like an evil disease.
What happened is everybody was shut down. Everybody was shut down, and all of a sudden, like government was giving money everywhere, and it was like the property market absolutely exploded, and you had rates at like I got a 30-year mortgage at 2.2%. I mean, think about that, 2.2%, 30 years.
Wow.
Which is insane. So everything made money. Rates went up, but what happens is that the property market slowed down, but the stocks rocketed. And then Trump got in and it completely exploded. And now it's down. It's now back up. It's down. And, people complain about Trump being the tariffs. But at the end of the day, people have been taking advantage of America, right? So you have to take a look at it. Like if you
Just
are being.
explain that to people because I didn't understand it properly. And someone tried to explain to me that if you sell an American car in Europe, America, to sell that car in Europe, has to pay some 20%
30,
in tariffs?
40% as high as 60 in some places.
Is it high as that?
Yeah, and so you don't see, like example, in Germany where I do business, you don't see American cars. You don't see Ford pickup
Right.
trucks, right? And then vice versa, the U.S. market is flooded with
European
German cars,
cars,
which, by the
sure.
way, are great cars.
Sure.
So what happens is, if you read the book The Art of War by Donald Trump, this is classic Trump. I know Trump very well. I know the family. I brought on your show 9 years ago his right-hand man, who happens to be my coach.
Right.
He's going to go to the extreme and then pull back. So it's a game of chicken.
I see it's already happening, by
It
the way.
is already happened. You have the UK who caved in yesterday.
Just yesterday.
And I'm from Canada originally. And Canada's like just elected this guy, Mark Carney.
Mark Carney.
Yeah. And they're like, we want someone to stand up to Trump. I'm like, America is like 360 million people. You have 35. You need us more than you need them. Even like, so it's like, what are you going to do? Like, and so, but the problem is Trump exit on with the 51st state, which that would never
there
happen.
is. That's when we were
That's
on
a person. So the person on the left there, that's George Ross.
George Ross.
And look how young you look there. Nice and
Oh,
healthy.
thanks.
and
Yeah, I'm
nice
looking.
and-
I'm looking shit now. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm just, I just say you look
But
tired.
that is interesting because that guy was on The Apprentice with him.
Yeah, The Apprentice is right-hand man, and he never got political. And to be honest with you, no one thought Trump was going to win. Like, it just, the problem is that I think after he got shot and then people saw how bad Biden was and how bad Kamala Harris, which her mistake was not to come on shows like this with Joe Rogan. And basically she could put 3 words together.
Yeah, it would have been even worse if she had gone on
Oh,
shows.
it would have been
because
horrible. I mean, if
we
she had
would have
been in.
seen that she had no personality at all. Right?
But it's like this, right? Let's say you have this massive office complex and you come in and say, listen, we're upside down. We're losing money. Vendors are taking advantage of us. We got to come in. We got to get rid of people. We got to clean house. We got to like shrink things. And there's going to be pain.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be on the rebound, except everybody wants to get rid of the bad, but no one wants to go through the pain that it takes because the market is emotional. So people get very emotional. And as a result, like when Trump got reelected, everyone loved Trump. Like for like 2.5 months, like I went back around the world and 90% of the people now in tariffs, I was in Australia. Like Donald Trump Jr. had to cancel a tour because of not enough tickets sold. And, you know, people are starting to like hate America. But at the end of the day, America's footing the bill for Ukraine and a lot of different things. It's like enough. Like you pay. And I think it's, you know, our taxes are paying for that. And I think at the end of the day, it's not taking advantages. You charge us 10, we charge us 10. Now, the big thing is once China falls, now, you have to understand, China is all about saving face. I do business in China. They would rather die than admit they're wrong.
Yeah, of course.
So at the end, the Chinese have to feel that they got a victory, and then Trump has to feel has to get a victory.
That's the art of the deal.
That's the art of the deal. Right. So once China falls, I think they'll all fall. There's a lot of countries are coming to the table as well to coming for tariffs. And right now, if you just, it was breaking news. You know, the Malema thing didn't make my feed, but this did. I was gonna wear a red polo today, but I didn't want to.
You're paying attention to the right stuff.
Well, I read 40 newspapers a day all over the world because, like you, I'm very educated. But I'm the type of person that, especially now with AI, if I read something bad about something, I always try to read the opposite because we tend to only listen to things that we agree with.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why Fox News is popular. That's why MSNBC. So I like to be in the middle. There are things I love about Trump and there are things I don't like. Like, for example, why do you need to create a shit coin? Like, you know, why? And by the way, the fees are going in there and you know it all went to the kids. I mean, there's the insider thing going on. And the day that they got inaugurated, Melania launched her coin. I bet she didn't even know the coin because she goes, we're going to do a coin for you, Melania. It's like, we're going to have a coin, Melania. It's going to be huge. It's going to be bigly. Nobody knows. Donald, I don't want the coin. I want the credit card. You know what I mean? So then, you know what? The amount of fees that they made on that, I think it's like 19 million. The coin is not really there. And obviously, I own a lot of crypto, so it's kind of good for me. But you know the thing is being artificially kind of like pumped to be that.
But you know what? I also think it's like, for example, when everybody says, oh, we need stricter rules to stop people from gambling away their miserable savings and inheritance or whatever it is. People are going to do dumb stuff with their money.
I know, but here's the problem. Nobody who did shit coins, nobody who did NFTs, how many pump and dumps were created?
Huge.
And now one person went to jail. So
they should have.
No, but we're a system in America now, to be honest with you. I know people that blatantly defrauded, PPE fraud, that are definitely defrauded investors, no accountability. And like I have to obviously stay above board because it only takes one time. So it's become this kind of notion now that, you know what, it's everyone for themselves now in America. So, you know, it's, you know, kill or be killed. And that's the way America is right now. It's definitely not united. It'll never be united no matter what happens. And if Trump pulls off the tariffs, he's got another year and a half. And the reason why, because then there's the second election for Congress, it'll all turn blue. If he doesn't work it by then, it's over the next 2 years of deadlock. And then they're going to put like Gavin Newsom or AOC, which would be like absolutely horrible. We might as well call it Commie America.
Yeah. I mean, if the smart money is on if the economy goes down, then Trump's finished. And I mean, the Republicans are finished.
But he's got a year and a half to turn around.
A lame duck for the second half.
The question is like, okay, was it worth it to do the tariffs? That's what he campaigned for. That's what he did. And America's been taken advantage of. It's just, I think it's the problem is that nobody wants to handle lowering debt. Everyone wants to kick the can down the road. But if Trump succeeds, let's just assume he does succeed. If he doesn't, and it fails, I'll say like, dude, you tried, you failed. And but at least give the man or people in charge. But then you will see a movement across the world of similar candidates like Trump. And the first thing they're going to get rid of government corruption. And I think we all know here the biggest issue. How much money is it being wasted if things were audited here? But all right, or anywhere.
I want to bring Ben in on something because my producer, James, who can't get a biography right if his life depends on it, but he doesn't recognize celebrities. He's like a total celebrity slut. So he saw your profile picture on your WhatsApp of you and Lionel Messi.
Yeah, me and
That's
Lionel
quite
Messi.
fucking cool. Where did you see him?
So I saw him in Paris right before he went to, he was going through a really bad time with Paris Saint-Germain. And I remember saying to him, and by the way, he is the most awkward dude I've ever met. Like, he looked at my shoes. Like,
people.
it really, by the way, I was like, he just looked down. And I'm like, you should come to America. And he just kind of put his head down. So I may have been responsible, but who knows? Or David Beckham, one of the two.
Were you responsible for his tax problems after that? Because he's been,
well, you know, that's
hasn't
the
he been?
problem.
Then his dad was his tax manager.
Well, that's what
or
happened in Spain,
Often
though.
happens
Same
in
thing
Spain.
happened with Shakira. Same thing would happen with
Ronaldo
Shakira.
went through similar stuff. It's
Really?
not the big story.
So okay.
It was 20. He paid $20 million in back taxes, but he's doing fine with that deal in America. But you know, but what happened is he kind of like shoot us a little bit, and then Sergio Ramos came in, like, because Messi is kind of like Rain Man, introverted, you know, like just genius. And by the way, so he comes up, and then Sergio Ramos, who's the defender at the time for Paris Saint-Germain, now he's back in Spain. He's like total right-brainer talking, and he remembers that when LeBron James was when Miami and gave him a hug, Sergio Ramos said, "Man, that guy never gave us a hug, and I was his teammate for 3 years, right? He just never talked to anybody. He was just in his zone, you know what I mean?" And so, but he's a genius, and total opposite personality with Ronaldo, who I'm told like just could be anybody's friends. But you know, another great guy was Tom Brady, who I know. So I do know. Had the pleasure of meeting, because of what I do, some of the world's most successful people, including. But you know what? I've been impressed with a lot of South Africans I've met here. But I've always idolized more the South Africans than you guys. Right? Wayne Van Erke, 400 gold medalist, Olympic record. François Pinard, even Patrice Motsepe, who came to my event. I was just blown away.
By the way, you know that they're going to delist African Rainbow Capital Investments. It's going to be delisted, and a lot of people saying this is perhaps an early sign that they are grooming him to run for president.
Oh, wow.
Does Cyril still own all the McDonald's, or did he delist it?
He had to divest himself of all of
He
that.
divest, or just give it to a trust that he still
Well,
owns?
it's kind of like what Trump had to do with the Trump organization, you know.
Well, I don't know now. I think everybody runs. I think now they're building a Trump tower in Dubai. Like, think about the guy is the president. They're
And
announcing,
Gaza, we're going to turn Gaza into
we
great.
love Dubai. It's fantastic. It's big. It's huge. Nobody does it better. The #1 building in the world in Dubai at the moment right now. We love Gareth.
We
He's
just got to put
fantastic.
Trump on it. Now, we talked about Dubai just before we came back from the break. Dubai seems to me to be like a beacon for a whole lot of fraudsters and bullshit artists and people who are get-rich-quick schemes, all kinds of shit.
Well, there's a lot of OnlyFans model. They all go there because of the tax.
I mean, tell me what your impression of Dubai
I
is.
look at, first of all, I have to take a look at Dubai as run literally like a business, right? Because obviously there's one man who makes the decisions.
Sure.
And during COVID, they made a brilliant thing. They said, we're opening, and that's what launched Dubai. And what they've done, the branding, the attracting the companies, attracting people, no taxes, although now there's going to be a little bit, 5% on taxes, a little bit. It's actually quite genius. And if you go in there, I mean, it's beautiful. It's just the traffic is just the worst. But Miami, I think it's like, because in America, no one's moving to Dubai. You can't move anywhere if you live in America, because no matter where you move, you have to pay taxes for the rest of your life, right? In America.
Yeah.
So if there was no tax, I'm sure all these scammers in Miami would go to Dubai, right? And so, but the problem is that they're not scamming in Dubai.
Yeah.
Because if they scam in Dubai, like if you do a check and it bounces, you go to jail. So
Well, not if you, I mean, like some of the worst criminals that South Africa's Guptas live there, don't they?
yeah, I'm surprised they never, because there's no extradition.
Yeah, there's no extradition.
There's no extradition. And so, but they've done, I mean, the amount of money that poured in. See, Dubai wants you to bring their money. They don't want money to leave Dubai. They want money to
Right.
come in.
Okay.
Because with that, they have infrastructures. But they've also done a great job, because in 2008, they got burnt by the property developing market, right? So they, in a situation where a lot of developers ran out of money and they left town. Now, a developer, all the deposits cannot be used until after it's finished. So you really need cash to build up the whole building. Then you could take the deposit. Then you can get the financing. So I have to say,
Wow.
in terms of the place in the world and the safety, America is not safe. There's one thing, although
No,
you
hell
guys
no.
are surrounded by walls and barbed
Yeah, look,
wire here. I
But
mean,
we've at least had to deal with it for a couple of years. I mean, in America, you guys have a lot of problems in the big cities. It's not great.
well, no, the blue cities.
The blue big cities.
the Democratic cities, right?
Where do you live most of the time?
Chicago, Nashville, and Florida, but less
Okay, so
Chicago now.
Chicago.
Well, that's what happened. I left during the pandemic, right? So
Right.
I saw the first riot that happened in Chicago. Then I saw the second one, and I could literally see from my complex onto Michigan Avenue.
Could you see Jussie Smollett the night he pretended he was
You know
attacked?
what? That's like right
from
around
your
the
window.
It was right around the corner from my building.
I knew it.
It was right. I didn't see it.
Did you see his race hoax?
I
Because that
mean,
would have been great.
you know,
Imagine
but
if you'd been filming it from your.
The problem is that what if it had been the other way around, right? So, but the Chicago is just. We live in a world where for some reason the Democrats want to protect the illegals, they want to protect the criminals, and they want to protect the bad actors. So that's the way it is. But the thing is that I'm an independent, so I think that's the way to go.
All right, so Bitcoin Bot says crypto is shit. Bitcoin dominance is around 65% over the whole crypto market, but he's a Bitcoin maximalist. So any comments on crypto before we move on from that?
I think, here's the thing too. So I actually started in 2017. I got in at 2,900 US, right? So I got in pretty early. So, and I've never sold. And I look at it, it's either going to make a lot of money. Like there's one threat to crypto at this point, one threat, a terrorist attack, and they find out they use crypto, they're going to shut that thing. They're going to do something to it, right? Because think about this, right? I mean, it's happening. Russia is avoiding sanctions by using crypto. Like the amount of money that's being moved in the wallets and the anonymity. But, at this point, it's adopted. There's so much big money on it, but that would be the only threat. But there's only 6% of the world's population that's actually invested in crypto. So it's quite small. Although I did see a Bitcoin ATM in Santon Mall, I have to admit.
Yeah, there is one.
There was. Yeah. It has a little stanchion.
You going to use it?
No, I don't know if I can. By the way, why does everybody have their hand in their gun in the Santon Mall? Has there been any robberies or something like that? Every store has a security guard, but they all have their hand on their gun.
As an American, I thought you'd be used to seeing guns everywhere.
Well, but I'm not used to having people have their hands on it.
Well, you never know when,
Does it happen in
some
Santon? Does it
machos
happen in
going to
Santon Mall?
attack you for your Bitcoin.
Does it happen in Santon Mall? Like, I know there's happened in other places, like Melrose Park.
I'm not aware of any incidents recently.
If it does, you take it with a pinch of salt. It's like a moving headline. It's like, oh, okay.
I don't really trust some of these people with guns, though. Like, I don't really. Like, I don't.
Funny, neither do we.
Yeah.
So,
I'm glad you brought that up,
universal.
actually. Yeah, we don't either.
and then also too, like some people, like how are they going to catch anybody? I was like, dude, like there must be a requirement. Like my security is like 6'5" boxer.
Oh yeah, they don't have
big
No,
muscles.
no. This is an ongoing discussion here. It's like our police, our security guards. There are a lot of these people who are. 2 flights of stairs, they'll be out of breath.
But that's like that in America too. The police officers, because they're unionized, right? But there, the firefighters. Once the unions comes in, they can't get fired.
Donuts, dude. Still donuts.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get canceled after this. So.
Oh, for sure. All right. So what are you doing that's new since the last time we spoke? I mean, business wise, tell me what your portfolio is all about.
I did 2 things in the last 2.5 months. My book became #1 all over the world in business, and I basically started doing a lot of mergers and acquisitions. And I think South Africa and Africa in general is prime for consolidation. There's so much fragmentation. Like in South Africa, you have the big corporates, they're all in Sandton, and then you have small businesses. And so what I do all over the world in countries, I put companies together and get them to a certain profit, and then I sell them to a private equity. So anything from, you will see the future being plumbing, home services, electrician, because nobody wants to. In fact, I own a trade school as well. I think the biggest, anything that is work with your hands, trades, plumbers, electrician, they're going to become the new millionaires. And you will see countries will start plucking them over. Like in Australia, if you have a South African electrician who maybe makes like 40,000,
They call him a lecky.
Maleki.
A lecky. I've got to get myself a lecky to come and fix my fridge. It's not working properly.
So they have to get paid in Australia 120,000, which is the equivalent of what they pay. So think about someone makes like maybe 400,000 rand a year as an electrician. They go to Australia, they're now making 129, and it has to be the exact same standard. Nobody wants to work. If they work overtime, like it's insane. Like in Australia, if you work Saturday, it's time and a half. If you work Sunday, it's double time.
Right.
So and then if you go to the mines, it's like triple the salary because nobody wants to work.
you mean actually, literally, they're millionaires compared to what
Oh,
they would be here.
100%.
Yeah.
I think there'll be more millionaires. And
I've been
I saw
saying-
a lot of South Africans in Perth. It's like a new South Africa over there.
Mm.
But I'm starting to see them in Sydney and Brisbane. And they're open for immigration. Like they're open. So,
Yeah.
you know, this is a beautiful country. But between living here or Australia, with the growth and opportunity, there's a shortage of just about everything. It's just a bit expensive to do that. You know, the quickest way to go broke is to go from South Africa and take a trip to London. That's the quickest way you're going to go broke.
Ben, you're
next
looking
Friday.
forward to that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Excited about that.
Where do you not like going? I mean, you said you're here against your will in some ways, which I think is kind of funny. But where do you not like going?
Like in the world or in South Africa?
Yeah, in the world.
You know, the problem here is I truly love this country. And, you know, in my basement, I have trophies from Messi signed and Tom Brady and Wayne Gretzky and Jack Nicklaus, right? And I have a picture of the Springbok team, the one that won
okay.
during there. And I look at that, and I made so many people very successful here. I just thought that as soon as something happened in their world, they turned negative. And the negative attitude and blaming this and blaming that and blaming this. And I help so many people here. And, you know.
So what is it about us? Because this is something that I've picked up on, and we've talked about it on the show for years. What is it about South Africans in general? I mean, obviously, you know, there are exceptions to every rule.
Well, here's the thing. Black people think that they're disadvantaged because they're not white. And white people think here they're at a disadvantage because they're not black.
Uh-huh.
So black doesn't want to do business with black. White says that it's black people extort them if they're part of BE with no-show jobs and have to give a portion to get the contract. So everybody thinks that nobody can do business. And I come here and I clean up because I see opportunity. I see this country as opportunity. Now, when I first came here 10 years ago, the rand was 1 to 8.
Yeah.
Right? 1
Sure,
to 8 to
remember
the US
those days.
dollar. 1 to 10.
Sure.
Right? And so I think if we took the South Africans and put them in America, right? I like to give this analogy here. It's one shark with a bunch of seals. Arr, 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 arr.
Yeah.
In America, it's like 100 sharks with one seal.
Yeah.
And if you put those South Africans anywhere in the world, they'd realize, because the greatest gift of South Africans is their people skills, they have likability. I just think some people spend more time complaining what they don't have and what's not fair rather than saying, okay, it is what it is. Like, you know, it is what it is. And so the spirit is there, and it's not going to change, you know. And I think a lot of people forgot the ideals and the principles of Nelson Mandela, you know, and I think that's just kind of like an illusion. But I've learned a lot from him. You know, I met Indaba, and I went to his house, and so I learned a lot about the history. And I brought so many celebrities here: Apple co-founder George Ross, you know, so many big names. But there's a lot of opportunities here. But you have to create your own economy. Okay, it's like this country doesn't owe you anything, right? Just like America doesn't owe me anything. I'm Canadian, right? So I moved to America.
But no one in the world owes you anything.
No, that's the point.
No matter
right?
who you
So
are.
everyone here likes to talk about their problem. Guess what? 90% of the people don't care about your problems. And the 10% are happy that you have those problems. So what other people think about you is none of your business. You know what? Everyone told you you couldn't do the podcast. You were the first in the world to set up a podcast show before that, where people were complaining about how my data, you know, you were like screwing everybody's cell phone data when it came out. I remember that. It was there 10 years ago. People were like, you were costing them money, but you were the first one. Everyone told you. 10 years later, you're still here. So, you know, is it easy? Nowhere is easy. But when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, when you have the energy and enthusiasm, and you maintain relationships, and we've maintained a relationship. It's been 10 years, you know, since, you know, 2017 we've been here. You're the worst at responding on WhatsApp. If I'm ever stuck in jail here in South Africa, you will not be my one WhatsApp call.
Yeah, sorry. JT messaged me the other day, and I was like, shit, I haven't replied to him.
I thought he didn't like me. For a long time, I thought you didn't like me.
No. I just
like being on your show because a lot of people listen.
I try really hard to be good. I just forget sometimes. You know what the problem is here is it only allows you to pin 3 chats. So whenever I get things I have to respond to in
How
the
many
day,
messages? You know, with AI you can do that. Like,
really?
What's happening with AI is amazing, right?
So okay, so tell me, because I'm maybe missing out on some stuff.
I'll tell you, I think AI is the greatest thing, better than Google. Remember when it first came up, Google? It is better. So for example, I took my brain, so I have about 8,000 hours. Literally, you can upload every single one of your podcasts.
I've tried this already. It does. It generates. Soon I'm not going to be doing the show live.
Because now you can do an avatar. They've created an avatar of me to go on Zoom.
Yes.
It's not even me.
Watch.
By the way, you know how like people read books, like with the audios coming up, it's all AI voice.
Yeah.
I did one line and it created voice.
Right.
And then you can adjust tonality and everything.
Sure. Make me a little friendlier. Make me sound
maybe like
more.
And now
Yeah.
business is war. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so,
right.
so they add these tonalities, and now we have AI customer service, because what we found out, and this happens all the time, like Africa time here, I was like, is still in full effect. Like they have Nando's, I'll get my food in 7 minutes. Here I had 8 people staring at my chicken, and it took like 37 minutes to get my Nando's.
Yeah.
37 minutes. Then I went to like to Woolworth, right, and to get some juice. I waited 38 minutes in line. And everyone's looking.
That's ridiculous.
Everyone's looking in line, and I was like, "Why is it taking so long?" And anyway, so speed is the key. So now, if anybody calls, let's say for an electrician, or they call for a service, if you don't pick up the phone, they're going to go to the next one.
Well,
So now they got AI customer agents that can answer, sort them out, and then put the lead to the right person based on the importance of the lead and what
that's
they
cool.
want.
Okay.
They have now AI sales agent that can reach out to people that are pre-qualifying leads. And by the way, they cost nothing. I can now do research on AI. I want to be on podcasts. I did this. Name me 100 entrepreneurs who have exited their company between 100 million Rand and 1 billion. And it gave me a long list of people. There's services now that you can link into AI that gives me their email address and their phone numbers, because everybody has public information.
Wow.
Then it creates the email. Then it gives me a template of, hey, this person, and then I click if I want. It sends out some of them I don't want. And the amount of finding business and doing the research. So I do a lot of property investments all over the world as well. I go on property websites. I type in, I am looking for XYZ, right? This type of property in this area. And I could do this in South Africa on, property.za, .co.za. And it will search overnight. And when I come in, I can have the list of properties I have. It could have an email ready to send up. And as soon as I approve, send it the email. I used to spend about 6 hours every Monday morning from 3 a.m. in the morning to 9 writing copy. I now spend 36 minutes.
That's fantastic.
By the way, everything, like the research as well. So I don't even know why you're Googling. Nobody here should Google. First of all, Google is based on like pay for play. Like, let's say you want to Google.
Advertising.
I'm going to Italy, right? And you go on Google Forte de Marne, let's say, where I'm going, where Andrea Bocelli lives, where I meet him. And
are you going to go and spend some time with him?
yeah, at his house.
That's very
I built
cool.
a relationship. Yeah.
Wow.
And so you know what it is? Here's the key. I've met the world's most successful people. You know what the key is? Add value. Right? So what
do you do for Andrea Bocelli?
So I raised over $1 million for his foundation. And then once a year, he has an event at his house. 400 of the most successful people, CEO of Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Sofia Vergara, Kevin James, David Foster. And I added a lot of value. And his wife said to me, JT, what would you like? We'd like to invite you to the party. And I said, okay. I said, one favor. She goes, whatever you want. I said, can I bring my family? And I treat my clients like family. Both my parents passed away, alcohol, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, how many? I'm like, 44. She goes, what? 44. She goes, 44. What are you, Italian? So my one ask is for me to bring my clients with me. So I have a policy. Cool. I spent all day last year on the set of Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise. And I saw clips of the movie. I swear to God, anybody who has anything bad to say, he is the most intense, detail-oriented guy.
And he does all his own stunts, right?
All his own stunts. I saw with my own eyes. There's no script on Mission Impossible. He gets in the water in the tank, and he's like, all right, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this on the fly. The other cast members knew. He's just making up on the fly. And then they gave us, we're this giant turbine where you stood there at 135 miles an hour in a hurricane wind and said, try doing that in the air while turning. He's 60-odd years old.
Yeah. And
when he's not working out, and every staff that had there said he was like the nicest. So he started like, how was your weekend? He knows everything about their family. So we judge people, like people judge Trump. I know Trump by what you see in the media.
Sure.
Right? People say things about you. They say things about me. But if you just sat down on this couch and got to know us or go in there and then you didn't like us after, I get it. But we judge too many people. We point the finger at everybody else when we have three fingers pointing back.
And what do you get out of that? So you feel superior for what, 2 seconds?
No, because it makes you feel better where you are. Misery loves company. If you're miserable and they're miserable, you could be miserably happily together.
Tom Cruise, huh?
It was good. And then,
the world's greatest actor now.
You know who's the one of the most
No doubt.
Yeah. I mean,
he's also the most well-paid actor in the world right now.
You know who's the
He
nicest
makes
guy?
any movie a success,
You know
right?
who's the nice guy? Kevin Costner.
Really?
Oh my God. So nice, so genuine. One of the most authentic guys I've ever met.
I hear from people who know these very famous people that he's exactly the same off camera as he is on, and he's a very, very chilled guy. He means what he says. He's got a lot of integrity. He's a good dude.
He's
Kevin Costner.
Kevin
I
Costner.
could see that.
And
I could
if
see
you,
that.
people go to my Instagram, JT Foxx 2X, the first video is a video of him meeting Walt Disney when he was 5.
Really?
Yeah, and he didn't know, like, obviously didn't know that it would be in there, and you know, and then, but the guy that I closest met to his character is Vince Vaughn. Like, I know Vince very well. He, like, kind of like in the movies, the guy that I was shocked the most that is completely not his character is Keanu Reeves. He is not John Wick.
So
He,
what is
he was
like?
he was like very mousy, and I'm like, dude, you're John Wick. Like, you never die. And he's like, you know, like that odd bird character. That's what I go in there. Will Ferrell, he has these like quiet moments, but then he'll turn it on and then he'll turn it off. Like super, but he has got that switch.
Yeah.
He's got that switch. So yes, I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of people, and you know, like people say like Charlie Sheen is crazy, but he's like,
What's he up to? Is he still alive?
he's writing a book.
Okay, but he's not well, apparently.
No, he is well.
Oh, he's okay?
Yeah, he's just writing a book.
Okay.
He's writing a book. They gave him a lot of money, so he wants to do that, and I think they're trying to make a comeback with a new show. But you know what's interesting is going to happen is, like, Trump put a tariff overseas, right, for international movies, which, by the way, I've funded over 80 movies. I was in a movie with Bruce Willis and Elizabeth Hurley. When you fund the movie, you can be in any movie you want. If you want, I could put you in a movie. You
No,
can
I'm
play-
all right, Ed.
No, you could play yourself.
No, I'm okay.
No, you can play yourself.
Don't want to be in a movie.
You're really good.
But
This is
tell
kind
me-
of like a movie
so
set right
Liz-
here.
Liz
If
Hurley
people
and-
actually really know what we're looking at. This
I
is
know.
like a...
So you movie with what?
I was in a movie with Elizabeth Hurley. I die in every movie. The reason I die is so I can leave the set, because acting is so boring.
It takes such a long time.
It does, because they do like this is one and done. If I had to redo a scene, I
Oh,
wouldn't
no.
do it,
Hell
right?
no.
And then they redo it from 12 different angles. But I was in the last movie that Bruce Willis did, and I was very sad. He was completely out of it, earpiece in his ear, completely out of it, and I was shocked about that. And then I did.
So this one guy says in the comments, I could jam with Keanu, like guitar jam.
Yeah, he's actually a good musician.
He is.
And he's got a
Apparently.
band, which,
Yeah.
by the way, without Keanu Reeves, I don't know how
No,
well.
it wouldn't do so well
wouldn't
then.
do so well.
It's
I
like
don't
a
wanna
lot
say
of these
that.
famous people.
No, by the way, the band does well with or without Keanu. I just want to put that out in case my path cross.
Okay,
Are
I've
we
just
getting positive comments?
yeah, lots of people here. Carl says I've just replaced Google with ChatGPT. I don't Google anymore.
Yeah. But
That's what
like
people
I
are
said
doing.
back to, if you Google, give me 10
Is
places.
JT a Scientologist?
No.
Okay,
Hell no.
yeah,
I would
so
never
it's
give
Tom
20% of
Cruise.
my money to the church.
Do they have
That's-
to give 20%?
Yeah, 20%. Plus, here's the key to Scientology, right? The more you pay, the higher you go.
Yeah.
So it's based on, you know what I mean? So
Pay to play.
yeah, like I don't care, man. I'm good on Earth. I don't need to be hanging out with Xenus and aliens and stuff like that.
Lord Xenu.
I mean, if you think about it, it's a great tax write-off. It's a great tax write-off, but you know. It's
So
not-
what do you do when when you're not hanging out with Andrea Bocelli and you're not working? What do you do for fun? Do you go on holidays? Do you relax?
Well,
do you have
I go I travel all around the world.
vacations?
No, but I travel all around the world. So,
Oh.
like for example, if I'm going to the Bocelli, that's kind of going to Italy. That's two
Sure.
birds with one stone. So, sometimes just being at home and just watching broke flicks. I call it broke flicks because some people complain about not having money, but you binge on every show. You know every stats about the Springboks, but you don't know anything about your business.
Yeah.
And no stats on your life, but you know every player, every stat, every statistic. So, I just sometimes I have to disconnect. Like I only slept an hour last night. I was so excited
Same
to come
here.
here.
I
My
was-
brain wasn't like not shutting off.
So have you figured out what you're worth now?
Yes.
Do you keep a tracker on how much you're actually worth? And that would be things that you own,
Yeah.
debt that you have.
I have no debt.
No, I'm not personal debt, but like
Same
if you
thing business. I have no
you're
debt.
financing.
So yeah, I created a model that during the pandemic, like people would give me money and I changed it where I give them money. So I put 56 million US.
Okay,
of my
so you
own
finance
money.
other people's
Yeah, with my own money. So I started
Okay.
investing in businesses.
So
and
what's
people,
the number? I mean, what do you think you're worth?
Billions and billions of rands.
Billions and billions.
Billions.
No. What do you think you're
Huge.
worth? I mean, don't be coy if you know the exact number.
Well, of course I know the exact number, but people are watching. So for purposes, I'm broke for the purposes of this show. And
Okay, right.
yeah, you know what I mean? So
Got
like
you.
I have no money. By the way, can you order me an Uber?
Yeah, sure. IRS, we don't need to
I
be
don't
talking
know.
about this.
By the
yeah.
way, people I love the IRS. Like people attack the IRS. Like, I think, at the end of the day, people's net worth, whatever anybody tells you their net worth, you could take a sponge. It doesn't mean you have assets, right? At the end of the day, I've always looked at how much cash. And I think, I have a lot of it because I believe some of the best opportunities come when you have cash, but people want to park it in a 10% investment.
All right. What is the point of having money to you?
Here's
And I
the
don't
thing,
mean
too.
this in some sarcastic
I
way.
agree. Listen, two things. Number one, after I made my first million at the age of 24, coming from Canada to the United States. That's US dollars. And I
Right.
made my second million at 25, my first 10 million at 28, and then I was a 9-figure guy in my early 30s, right? And if I die, my money goes to charity, right? So 99% of it's going to go to charity, and then people around me are going to be taken care of. I actually donated here to many of the children's hospitals when I came here and give back, and I give back to a lot. And to be honest with you, like I drive a 2015 Range Rover. I absolutely hate the disgustiveness of what you see online. All the people that are flexing Lambos. And the funny is, I had Tonino Lamborghini at my event, and he's giving me a free Lamborghini, right? And so I don't flex this.
You said that very well. Just say it again.
Tonino Lamborghini gave me a free Lamborghini. But literally,
But all this conspicuous consumption.
because you know what? People think, number one, if someone is flexing their stuff, they're selling you a course. That's the first thing, right? And what you need to ask yourself is how many people have a Ferrari or Lamborghini or a plane because of this? I believe in flexing relationships. I believe meaningful relationships with people. And there's a reason why I do business with legitimate, Forbes billionaires. And a lot of people do business because I always add value. Just like when you can your show, hey, do you want to have George Ross, right?
Sure.
That adds value to your show and adding value to the audience.
I was happy to have you here. You didn't have to bring any
By the
celebrities
way,
this time.
you know what? I ate Nando's. I ate Nando's yesterday. But I was very interesting. Does the Trumps thing here have anything to do with Trump? Because I see it.
No.
Very,
no,
very
no, no.
different. Yeah, that's been there for a long time.
I know, but I saw that. I'm like, I don't know. Like, are they going to protest?
No, you're talking about that restaurant in Santa.
Yeah, in
no, that's
Santa
been
Square.
there. Ben's right. It's been there for years.
So but I went to Nando's. Like, I'm a simple guy. I don't believe in flexing.
Yeah, this flashy stuff seems to me though to be a kind of. It's designed to appeal to people who are not rich.
Correct.
Right?
Like, I don't have anything of
the
mine
people
Louis
who
Vuitton.
flex the cars, the houses, the clothes, the jewelry.
Didn't you post something this week about most of luxury products are bought by
Middle-class
to lower-
people.
I mean, look at you. You're wearing Christmas socks. Like,
Yeah, I'm
like
happy.
what are we like? Is it May? May.
No, Ben's wearing Christmas socks.
Christmas
Guys, I'm
socks.
wearing blue socks. I'm wearing a
No,
blue
I know
jersey.
there's a recession here, but I mean, if you need socks, I'll take you to Woolworth. I saw 3 for the price of 1.
I got
I
loads of
bought
socks.
T-shirts. I went to Woolworth, and they were like $4 US, and I'm like, winning! Man, I was like, I'm in heaven,
must
man.
be-
I picked
yeah.
up every T-shirt
Yeah,
there
I'm
is.
sure you're going to go back with so much
But
luggage.
look at this, right? My friend Tommy Hilfiger, right? If we just
Your
take that
friend.
little flag,
Here's your friend.
yeah, he's my friend. He's
Tommy
in my book, and he
Hilfiger.
wrote a whole thing. You know what I did?
Yeah, that's
but you know how I
great.
met? I paid money. There was like a charity auction, and I paid money. It says, you want to have lunch with them. I jumped on it. Now people say, why would you do that? So hypothetically, let's
Of course
say
you would want to have lunch with him.
no,
I
but you have to
understand
pay, obviously, because you have
Yeah,
to
but
charity.
sure,
Because
you-
why? But here's what I understand.
But you got money. That's what you want money for.
Yeah, no, you have, because here's the thing. How am I supposed to meet Tommy Hilfiger? Like, I can't DM him. So there was an opportunity. I know, and you're the same way as me. I don't know you at the Christmas socks are a little, I just want to point that out there. I mean, when I saw that,
I'm
I'm
so
like,
glad you saw it. I didn't even notice.
first thing I noticed when I came in here, I thought I checked my watch. Maybe I'm missing something. It does match your shirt, I have to admit. But so I paid for a charity. It was a lunch. I brought 2 of my clients with me, very consistent. Wherever I do, I always bring people. I always like to share the moment. And 45 minutes turned into 3 hours. And I said, you know what? I tried them for years to come to my event. Offered them a size 500,000. People said, doesn't want to do it, doesn't like doing it. Build value. And I said, hey, can I raise more money for your charity? He goes, absolutely. I said, I'll put an event 7 minutes from your house, because the minute you have to get on a plane, a private
sure.
plane, it
People don't want to do
You know what I mean? It just gets there. And now, by the way, I got a free shirt, I got a free thing. But the power of branding is this. If you could go to my Google and see my interview with him, if you type in JT Foxx, Tommy Hilfiger, but you take this flag and you remove this logo here, this Tommy Hilfiger logo, right? It's a 40, maybe it's a 80 rand shirt at Woolworth, right? But because it's got a flag, this is literally like 1,000 rand.
You're right.
Right?
And
because
that's the power
it's the power of the brand, just like you're a brand.
And the power of that brand is something which is made up.
But look at the Pope. Think about this, right? The Pope is now elected.
He's selling T-shirts?
No. But think about this, right?
Wow, lots has changed since he became
I've met
Pope.
the Cardinal, the new Pope in Chicago. I lived in Chicago. I met him one time, right? I got communion from him. And by the way,
I didn't know you were Catholic.
If there was a Cardinal here, right, nobody would care. You're like, hey, Father, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, the Pope is now the Pope. Now millions of people are like, oh my God. They will line up the streets and they'll cry. He was a regular dude 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
That's branding.
Oh, he was walking
By the way,
across
that's
the-
branding.
Yeah, that's very
That's
good.
branding. All brands are created.
Right.
Just like Louis Vuitton, just like everything, which is why people now, one thing that will survive AI is you building a personal brand. Because that personal brand, you can say whatever you want about the Kardashians, but they've built a really good brand. And I think a lot of people, you can have the best product, the best service, but if you don't get noticed first, it just doesn't matter.
agree with
By the way,
you.
whether it's at your job or whether it's in your business.
So listen, you've got your own podcast as well.
I do.
Yeah. So tell people about that.
So it's called the 1% of the 1%. And
does that come from Bernie Sanders?
No.
The 1% of the 1%.
No.
Are you
he says,
a tax
by
dodging
the way, he
rich
says
man?
He says the 1%. I say the 1% of the 1%.
Which is even more elite.
0.01%.
But he would tax the hell out of you if he could.
I mean, nobody cares about
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, nobody
Come on,
cares.
you love Bernie Sanders.
Nobody loves Bernie. He's like an angry grandpa.
AOC loves him because they're going to run
because they're socialists.
They're going to run as
Dude, he's going to be 100 years old by the time that happens. It's never going to happen. Calm
Yeah,
down.
but she'll make up for it by
She'll
being
never make it. Calm down.
20-something.
Calm down.
and a
Calm down.
barista.
Yeah,
That's her qualification.
And by the way, Trump's going to run for a third term.
Oh, don't say that. First of all, that really gets
By the way,
the
what's
Democrats
up with
upset.
this associating yourself with like the BRICS thing, right? Like you know what happens?
Okay,
the Chinese come here.
ask the question.
The Chinese come here. They take all your resources and then they bring it back to China and then they charge you a premium for it. That like I don't understand like why South Africa would associate themselves with that.
I don't either. I don't have an answer for you, but I think a lot of this has just got to do with we don't want to be. We've got other friends. We don't need to be friends with you. It's like this childish notion. Listen, our government, and particularly the ANC, the majority party in this country, a lot of what they do just comes from this unbelievable victim mentality. And you know, when you're driven by a victim mentality, you don't even know what's good for you. You're so desperate to lash out at people who you think have wronged you, whether it's the Western world or whatever else, that you will make decisions which are counterintuitive to your own survival and happiness.
Most people don't know about the issues. If we talk about BRICS,
They don't. They don't. And China, as you rightly point out, China doesn't care about.
No, they just want to take your
Africa.
resources, man. They're just going to take their mind, take their resources, and bring it back. And then they're going to do what they did with every other African countries. They're going to screw you. And then they own you because they lend you money.
Correct.
That's exactly
and
what's
half
going to
your
happen.
infrastructure they built for you as a loan.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. This is a beautiful country. I always say this. This is a third world country with first world people. That's the difference between here and the rest of Africa.
That's an interesting look.
right?
Thing.
And
I
so
like it.
because you can place any South African here and place them anywhere in the world.
Carl DeSantis says getting my Pope golf shirt next week.
Nice.
Thanks for the.
I get the socks too. Just
Well,
make sure.
JT, bro, I actually do need socks, says someone else in the comments.
I have white socks.
Yeah, I got white socks on this morning too. At least we're all wearing clothes.
I was going to wear a suit. Remember, I always wear a suit.
I know. I almost imagined that you'd walk in
You
here
know
in a
what?
suit, and I thought I'd dress
You know what?
down.
I have one suit. I'm saving it for 5,000 people tomorrow. I didn't want to wrinkle it.
So, okay, what is the thing tomorrow?
So it's an event with Robert Kiyosaki.
Is it open? Is it sold out
ticket.
already?
No, they can still get some tickets. And it's
Okay.
at the Emperor's Palace.
Oh, good.
And, it's going to be a great 2 days of speaker.
And the book,
The book Business War,
Business
believe it or
is
not,
War.
you have to go to Amazon.com to get it because Amazon.co.za doesn't support. Because what it is, I have Amazon print on demand. So I gave a little bit more to Amazon, but what they do is all over the world, Amazon will let's say you write a book, instead of you shipping like 10,000 books to America, like basically whoever orders the book, they print it there on the spot.
Right.
They take a little bit
They
more,
don't have to have
but they don't do
inventory.
that. They don't do that here, right? And I was like, well, this is
No,
a big business idea.
supposedly we've now got an Amazon distribution center warehouse
Yeah, but there's
in the
nobody
country.
who prints
I
on
know,
demand
I
books. So I think like maybe I'll start this business here. You and I
That's,
can become
that's not a
partners.
bad idea.
And
But
we
you
became
see,
partners.
that is what business people do. They see opportunities and they take them.
Hey, tell you what, why don't we take what I built in AI and we build it here in South Africa? By the
Let's
way, my
talk.
friend Robert Gumede was very interested.
He did very well. He's not
They just
shy.
bought sugar. He told me he just bought all these sugar places. They're
he's
taking
not,
over.
He's not an idiot at all.
No,
he's
he
a smart
is.
guy.
By the way, he is very smart. And you know what? He's always been very loyal and very nice to me. And we just happened. Here's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
So about 6 months ago, I'm landing from London to Amsterdam. I land. I get a text message. Hello, my brother. I miss you. It's Robert Gumede, right? I hadn't seen him since 18.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where are you? He goes, Amsterdam. I'm like, no way.
Oh wow.
We were both in Amsterdam. He came to me at my hotel, and we got together. And we were supposed to meet up here, but there was an emergency thing. He had to go to Europe for. But I have so much respect for him, and you know his daughter's now running Gajima and the other places, Roberta, and I just just a solid guy, and really never forgot there. But also too, having listened to Patrice speak, like how the love for the country. These people have legitimate love for the country. Now, I've met so many. Ivo Ivokovich is another great entrepreneur here at Paramount. So I've met so many amazing people here, and there is opportunity. It's just you have to tune out the negativity.
Well, listen,
you have to tune out the fact that people are washing themselves in the river and there's dead bodies in there, and just unsubscribe. Just unsubscribe. Save the money and unsubscribe from the negativity.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm taking over this show. It's called Real Positivity Network. Nobody will listen because they only want real negativity. In fact, you should rebrand the show Real Negativity.
Okay, all right. You know what? I've had enough of your business strategies for this morning, JT
By the way, the Joe Rogan of South Africa has spoken.
No, dude, it's so good to see you, and thanks for popping by. You can find out more by going to businesseswar.com, and for Ben's show, watch the Greatest Photos in Sport, Part 2.
It is this week, yeah.
Right?
And get your Christmas socks wear.
And get your...
No, these are one-of-ones. I'm not telling...
Dude, you got to
designer.
sell those, man. You know how much money we can
You
make?
know what, Ben?
Monetize. You see, there's so much opportunities to make in this country.
I actually think wearing Christmas socks...
Blue ones in the middle of the year, red ones for Christmas.
I think wearing Christmas
There we go.
socks in...
Which way am I going? There we go.
In May is like playing Christmas songs on the radio. You don't do
No,
that.
it's fucking
or
isn't.
showing Christmas
Both of
movies.
you relax. They're blue socks. I wake up at like 5:20 to get in the show on Friday.
Or do you wake up in the dark?
Yes, mostly.
And do you always wear a scarf? Is this like in America, we don't have
It's
that. Like we would get canceled.
JT, it was fucking cold this morning. I feel the
cold. What are you talking about? Canada's cold. This is warm.
actually.
Yes,
talk to
okay.
Canadians
Yeah,
about
like
that.
cold. Like
Both of you-
that, my Uber driver had max heat. I'm like, dude, what is this, Florida weather?
Yeah.
So
I feel the cold. I'm quite low body fat percentile. I do feel the cold heavily, and the studio, like I'm here most of the week. The air cons are very low. So I like to be, comfy on the couch.
But was it in the dark where you went like this, like Stevie Wonder, and look at your thing, or you're like, I'm gonna wear Christmas socks? Like,
I have an extensive sock drawer.
Are you in a relationship?
No. So I have.
It's starting to explain things.
So I have gym socks. I have golf socks. I have smart socks, and then I have colored socks.
It sounds like I got Bubba shrimp, got big shrimp, small shrimp. I got
I've
this
never
shrimp.
realized actually recently I have
All right,
so
we're going
many
to wrap
socks.
this up. Thank you. You're both talking so much shit. And thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll see you Monday, bright and early at 6 a.m. Have a good weekend. It's the weekend, baby. Ciao.
Mahadebe, Suze suspects. Who's them? Top 20. Yeah, Charty son on plunge.